This story begins with a 19-year-old girl named Yun. She lives with her mother, who is deaf and mute, but despite their simple life, they live happily together. Every day, Yun patiently teaches her mother to speak, hoping that one day her mother can communicate on her own if she ever has to go out alone. Yun's father passed away long ago, leaving only the two of them to care for each other and survive together. Even though their life is modest, they always find joy in small, simple things. Yun knows that her mother loves rice cakes, so every time she finishes her part-time shift at a cafe, she always brings home her mother's favorite snack. Meanwhile, Yun herself loves cosmos flowers, the kind her mother often picks and gives to her as a sign of affection. However, Yun often scolds her mother not to pick flowers anymore because she believes even flowers can feel pain. To make ends meet, her mother works at a garment factory while Yun helps by working part-time. Her mother often feels sad seeing her daughter work so hard at such a young age, especially since their old debts have already been paid off. But Yun only smiles, not wanting her mother to worry. In addition to being deaf and mute, her mother also suffers from asthma. Because of that, she often orders herbal tea online to ease her breathing. One day, Yun's old school friends visit the cafe where she works, and that is when they discover that Yun has actually dropped out of school. However, to keep her mother from finding out, Yun still wears her uniform every morning and pretends to go to school. In reality, she has been studying to take the civil service exam. She failed this year, but is determined to try again next year. Her friends fully support her and even help her by study books. One day, Yun receives news that her mother was injured at work. She immediately runs to the factory with tears streaming down her face. There, she meets a man who happens to be her mother's coworker. The man had helped take her mother to the hospital. Yun thanks him sincerely, unaware of his true intentions. The next day, the man visits Yun's mother again and compliments Yun's beauty. Her mother reads his lips and replies in sign language that Yun looks like her late father. But the man misunderstands, thinking the woman cannot comprehend anything. With lustful thoughts, he begins speaking indecently, saying that Yun is already a grown woman and should be married to him because no other man could make her happy. Yun's mother, realizing the vile meaning behind his words, slaps him hard across the face. From the very beginning, the man had evil intentions. The moment he saw Yun, his mind was filled with desire. That night, he comes to the cafe where Yun works. He stares at her with a disgusting gaze, completely consumed by his wicked urges. When Yun finishes her shift late that evening, the streets are quiet. The man begins following her from behind. Yun senses someone tailing her, so she quickens her pace, but the man chases after her, drags her into a secluded area near a field, and brutally rapes her. After committing that heinous act, the man looks at Yun and threatens that if she dares to report him, he will do the same thing to her mother. That night, Yun's mother, waiting anxiously at home, grows worried because her daughter has not returned. She goes out into the dark night to look for her. Meanwhile, the vile man spots Yun's mother alone and once again becomes consumed by his evil intent. As he slowly approaches her, Yun, still lying weak on the ground, sees what is happening. Using the last of her strength, Yun forces herself to stand, grabs a nearby rock, and strikes the man's head with all her might. The blow is so strong that he dies instantly. Sometime later, Yun is arrested and accused of murder. The police find no sufficient evidence to prove that she acted in self-defense. Although Yun desperately tries to explain that the man had raped her, the law demands concrete evidence, not mere words. As a result of the incident, Yun's case is no longer considered self-defense, but is instead classified as murder. In an attempt to save her, her lawyer suggests that she speak publicly, join a women's organization, and fight for her rights. However, Yun firmly refuses. She does not want anyone to know what happened to her. She does not want to be looked at with pity, as if she were just a fragile girl who deserves sympathy. Ever since childhood, people have always seen her that way, and now she can no longer bear those looks. She explains all of this to her mother with a broken heart. With no other path left to take, both of them can only cry together in despair. A few days later, the day of the trial arrives. Due to insufficient evidence, the court sentences Yun to 5 years in prison on charges of murder. Upon hearing the verdict, her mother clasps her hands together, crying and embracing her daughter in grief. Their heartbreaking cries move everyone present in the courtroom to tears. After that, Yun is taken to prison and placed in a room with 5 other women who are also serving sentences. As soon as Yun enters, one of the inmates strikes her harshly simply because Yun's body accidentally brushes against hers upon entering. Seeing Yun being treated that way, another inmate quickly intervenes to stop the fight.
어머, 어떡해.
아이 진짜 더러워서 못 보겠어.
야! 이 때문에 더 덧나겠다. 아, 왜? 안 덧나, 이거.
That night, Yun cries endlessly, thinking of her mother. It is the first time she has ever been separated from the only person she has. The next morning, the inmates eat together in the dining hall. They're not as bad as Yun initially thought. Each of them has her own story, but one stands out from the rest. She wears a pink uniform, unlike the others. When Yun asks, the woman proudly says she is the best prisoner in the entire facility. Among them is also a senior inmate named Sununj, whom everyone calls Big Sister. Noticing that Yun does not touch her food, Sununj approaches her and gently explains that, in time, Yun will get used to living there. She advises her that if she does not eat, she will have no strength to work. The other inmates also explain that they receive wages for the work they do inside the prison. After hearing that, Yun learns that the highest paying job is repair work, so she decides to take it. Even though it is very tough, Yun still chooses to do it. After some time, all the prisoners head to their respective workplaces. There, a woman keeps staring at Yun because of her youthful and beautiful appearance. When the prison guard calls roll, she notices that Yun is a new inmate and informs her that her prisoner number is 2037.
여기선 네 이름이고 주민번호니까.
네, 알겠습니다.
At the end of the workday, when all the inmates gather again, Yun bravely asks the guard when she will receive payment for her labor. Hearing the question, the guard scolds her harshly and says she will not get a single penny. She yells at Yun and reminds her that she is only a prisoner, not a free worker.
따박따박 임금 갖다 바치게.
That night, after all the inmates have fallen asleep, Yun sits alone in the corner of the room and quietly weeps. Not long after, Sununj came to see her. Sununj told Yun that she had been imprisoned for killing 5 people. With a calm yet bitter voice, she explained that she once had a young son who was killed in an accident caused by a drunken man. Overwhelmed by anger and unbearable grief, Sununj took revenge by burning the entire family of that man alive. However, now she admitted that she deeply regretted her actions. She then advised Yun not to suppress her feelings too deeply, because the only way to find peace is to have the courage to express what one truly feels. From their conversation, it was also revealed that Sununj had been sentenced to death, and the day of her execution was drawing near. After listening to Sununj's story, Yun wrote a letter to her mother. In that letter, she reassured her mother that she was fine in prison and asked her not to worry too much. From that day on, Yun began trying to adapt to life behind bars. She slowly learned various tasks and started getting along with the other women in her cell.
뭐 있으면 언제든지 편하게 갖다 봐.
A few days later, her mother came to visit, bringing her favorite food. However, the guard said that outside food was not allowed inside as it could cause trouble for Yun. Even so, her mother was still overjoyed to see her daughter again after such a long time. Yun couldn't hold back her tears when she heard her mother calling her name in sign language. Although her mother was mute, the two could only gaze at each other with tears streaming down their faces. They cried together in silence, understanding each other without the need for words. The small, once warm and loving family had now been shattered by the animalistic desire of an unknown man who had taken everything from them.
고마워. 우리 엄마 구화 공부 많이 했구나. 내가 미안하지 엄마가 뭐 고마워. 네, 잘 돼. 엄마 울지 마.
The next morning, Yun's health suddenly deteriorated. She could barely get out of bed. After being examined by the prison doctor, Yun learned a truth that shook her to the core. She was pregnant. Hearing that, Yun froze in shock and heartbreak. After enduring the most horrifying and painful experience of her life, she had tried so hard to forget and start over. But fate cruelly brought her back to the darkest point of her existence. The baby growing inside her was the child of the man who had destroyed her life. Without thinking, Yin only wanted to escape the prison, run into her mother's arms, and scream at the top of her lungs to release all the pain she had been holding in. She ran toward the prison gate, crying and calling out for her mother in anguish. Seeing her in such a hysterical state, the guards immediately restrained her and locked her in a dark room to calm her down. Sometime later, the other inmates in her cell found out that Yun was pregnant. They all felt worried, as Yun was still too young to become a mother, especially since the child was the result of the rape that had ruined her life. The next day, Sununj sat beside Yun and gently held her, placing Yun's head on her lap. She comforted Yun softly, telling her that no matter what happened, she had to stay strong and face everything with courage. Not long after, Sununj also came to fetch Yun and helped her back to the cell. But not long after that, the same girl who had hit Yun on her first day attacked her again, angrily demanding to know why she was still keeping the baby born of such a tragic event. The other inmates quickly intervened and stopped the fight. It turned out that the girl's hostility was not without reason. She too had a dark past similar to Yun's, having once been a victim of violence and deep suffering. Days passed. Yun decided not to see her mother anymore, afraid that her mother would become even more worried if she found out about her true condition. But her mother still came every day, waiting patiently, hoping to see her daughter's face, even though Yun always refused to meet her. The mother grew desperate and heartbroken, unable to understand why her own child now avoided her. One day, several inmates from another cell came and began threatening Yun. One of them even invited her to the bathroom. The woman had actually been attracted to Yun since the first day she saw her and intended to assault her. However, at that very moment, Sununj appeared and angrily grabbed the woman's hair, threatening her by saying that even if she committed one more murder inside that place, her punishment would still be death, so she had nothing to fear. After that incident, the prisoners from the other cells began keeping their distance from Yun, afraid of Sununj's wrath. Days passed heavily, and Yun could no longer bear the emotional and physical pain caused by her pregnancy. One day, in utter despair, she tried to harm her own stomach using a shard of glass. The same short-tempered girl saw her and immediately screamed, stopping Yun's action. She scolded Yun harshly, reminding her that she had warned her not to keep the baby, but that didn't mean she should kill herself either.
너 그러다가 애라도 떨어졌으면 살인이야. 조용히 좀 살자.
The other inmates rushed in to help, and advised Yin to seek help from the media. They told her that if the public learned about her story, there might be a chance for her to be released. They also said that spending 5 years in prison at such a young age would only waste the best years of her life. But Yin refused. She said that she would rather spend 5 years here than live the rest of her life in shame by exposing her tragedy to the world. The only hope she had left was to file for a retrial, praying that the judge would give her a fair sentence. Due to her pregnancy, Yin was released from hard labor and was only given light duties, such as sorting medicines that came from outside.
별로 어려울 거 없어.
Although she never met her mother in person, Yin continued to write letters to her occasionally, reassuring her not to worry too much.
대 걱정 말아요. 도라지 약물도 다려서 자주 먹고. 사랑해, 엄마.
One day, while working, Yin suddenly felt an unbearable pain in her stomach. After being examined, the doctor discovered that her pregnancy had already reached 6 months. Although her belly still looked small, the baby inside her was growing healthily. When she heard her baby's heartbeat for the first time, Yin couldn't hold back her tears, knowing that all this time she had secretly been taking medicine in an attempt to end her pregnancy.
몸무게가 한 300g 정도밖에 안 되겠네요. 엄마가 거부하니까 자꾸 뱃속으로 숨어드는 거예요. 아기는 엄마 마음을 알거든요. 그래서 몸에 변화가 없는 거고요.
When she returned to her cell, the other inmates asked about the examination results, and Yin honestly told them that she was 6 months pregnant and revealed everything. From that day on, the others began to take better care of her. They no longer let Yin work and tried their best to protect her with love and compassion. Time went on until finally the long-awaited retrial day arrived. In the courtroom, the judge gave Yin a chance to speak her final words. With a trembling voice, Yin admitted that she was indeed the one who killed the man. She said she didn't care whether others believed her or not, because only she knew how cruel that man truly was and what he had done to her. She said she was ready to accept any punishment, even if it meant spending 5 or 10 years in prison, as long as someone could take care of her mother. After saying that, Yin broke down in tears before the entire court. Moved by her sincerity, the judge decided to revoke the previous 5-year sentence and reduce it to only 1 year of imprisonment. Hearing the decision, smiles of relief spread across the courtroom. Time passed, and Yun's belly grew larger. The inmates around her became even more affectionate, caring for her wholeheartedly. One day, Yin told her friends that she really wanted to see cosmos flowers. She shared how her mother used to pick them for her, and since she couldn't leave the prison, she could only long for their beauty. That night, without Yin knowing, all her cellmates quietly woke up and filled the bathroom walls with hand-drawn cosmos flowers. The next morning, when Yin woke up and saw the surprise, her face lit up with pure joy. She smiled widely and cried in gratitude, deeply touched by their kindness. In the following scene, all the inmates were busy making baby socks and clothes from scraps of their own garments, since there were no proper materials available in prison. They even agreed to choose a name for the baby. Whether it was a boy or a girl, the baby would be named Boni, meaning protector of the weak. The most surprising part was that the once short-tempered girl who used to attack Yin now brought materials from her workplace to make toys for the baby. Happiness and kindness, it seemed, still lived in every heart, though life had wounded them so deeply that those hearts had turned to stone. Yet with the new hope brought by Yun's unborn child, little by little, their hearts began to soften again. One day, when everyone had gone out to work, Yin stayed alone in the cell. Suddenly, she felt intense pain in her stomach. With the last of her strength, she placed the letter she had written for her friends into their respective drawers, swallowed some pills, and laid down on the floor. When the others returned, they were shocked to find Yun unconscious. Panic filled the room as they cried and tried desperately to save her. The guards were immediately called, and Yun was rushed to the hospital.
주문 있다.
지금? 아기 죽이시려고 이러신 거예요?
Despite all efforts, Yun still did not regain consciousness. The doctor urged her to fight and push, warning that both her life and the babies were now in danger. But Yun remained unresponsive, as if she had already surrendered to pain and fate. With every possible effort, the doctors finally managed to save the baby, but Yun's condition remained critical. Meanwhile, back in the prison, her cellmates found the letters Yun had left behind. In them, she wrote that she didn't know whether she would survive or not, and that was why she had written these farewell messages. She thanked them for all the kindness and care they had given her during her time there. After reading the letters, all the inmates wept bitterly.
기르고 화장도 해봐 언니. 얼굴 보고 말하면 맞을까봐 편지로 말하는 거야. 내가 본 여자들 중에 언니가 제일 예뻐. 언닌 사랑을 받을 준비도 준 걸 말하지 않아도 다 알아채고 너무 감사하고 또 죄송해요.
Elsewhere, Yun's mother, upon hearing that her daughter was in the hospital, rushed there immediately. When she arrived, she saw Yun lying unconscious and weak. After so long apart, the mother could finally see her daughter's face again, but in such heartbreaking circumstances. She held Yun tightly in her arms and cried her heart out, releasing all the pain and love she had kept hidden inside. The film then transitions to a beautiful scene in a field of cosmos flowers, where a little girl runs and laughs joyfully with her new family. That little girl is Yun's daughter, now adopted by another family. In the final scene, Yun's mother is seen ironing clothes. Beside her lies a job interview certificate for a civil service position. Suddenly, a voice calls out, "Mother!" She turns toward the sound and smiles warmly. The film ends with a deeply emotional tension. Was that voice truly Yun's, returning home at last, or merely a memory in the heart of a mother who has lost her child and longs for her too deeply? The story closes with a haunting, lingering question that pierces the soul.